Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Tailgate Update. Uh, Training camp has started, which we all know what that means. The first couple days, nobody's getting a better workout than the medical staff running the carts up and down the field as players' seasons tend to end before they even begin. So, Julie, what do you got for us? I know it was a busy week in the cart
Yeah,
races.
yeah, and as a sports injury epidemiologist, I am super prepared for this. So, Jalen Ramsey has a meniscus injury, and I believe he's already had the knee injury or it's happening soon. Joe Burrow has a calf strain, and he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. No surgery required on that one. CJ Gardner Johnson, every Saints favorite knee player. He has a leg injury, but it doesn't seem to have any structural damage to the knee, so it just seems like he needs to heal that up for a couple weeks. Love you, CJ. So Trey Turner, he came, I believe, most recently from the Steelers and was much loved there, as I recall. And he was signed to the Saints, and before he could even play a single game, yeah, and the practice squad, he got a torn quad. I do believe that that's going to require a surgery, and he's going to be out for the entire season. Yeah, so
A
they're
lot
probably
going on.
getting more exercise than most of the players. Yes.
Some big ticket names right there. Joe Burrow, obviously being the headliner. Thankfully, it
Mhm.
looked like an Achilles originally, but thankfully just a calf strain.
And it's not, I looked into this, it's not the same leg as the bad knee, so that's a good thing. So it doesn't show like structural damage to the overall leg or like some sort of like side to us, you know, result of the knee injury affecting the calf in some way or his body compensating by damaging the calf. So it was his right leg, so it's kind of a good thing. But then also now we know both of his legs are a little problematic, but I think that is probably pretty good news for Bengals fans since we've all been kind of keeping an eye on that
Yeah,
faulty knee.
they're in contract disputes right now. So apparently the Bills don't want to pay him because it was a non-football injury. He wasn't on team facilities. Uh, um, he believes that he should be taken care of anyway and be paid out his yearly deal. But I don't know. But on
We
the
know
flip
that
side,
running backs are not doing well with the contract debates recently. We had a little chunk about Saquon Barkley too that we're going to talk about. I guess New York just doesn't like to pay out for their running backs. Is what we're learning.
yeah, looking like a 1 year deal paid $11 million, up to $11 million, which is subsequently about $900,000 more than what he would have made on the franchise tag. It's incentive based. I don't know what I don't know. I don't get it. Like you made all this fuss. You hosted this, big Zoom call with all the big running backs in the league and talk all this talk about possibly holding out. And then what, 2 days later, you sign a contract for pennies on the dollar of what you feel you should be owed. It's not even a multi-year deal. Like, I don't know. There's no security in it. He could get hurt tomorrow and you're in the same spot that you were, last week.
His
So
backbone got carted away, is what happened.
yeah, yeah, he's gonna hit the IL with no backbone. On the bright side of market, uh, Justin Herbert signs a big deal. Most right for any quarter, anybody ever, right?
Yeah, the biggest deal in NFL history.
Yeah, so that's good news. Quarterbacks keep getting paid. Who else
Mhm.
got paid?
So Herbert, just to focus, he has a 5 year contract for $262.5 million. He's sort of starting a trend with signing with 2 years left on his contract. And 8 out of the 10 top quarterback contracts are for like 5 or more years. So we're starting to see a trend going that way. But other players are Jalen Hurts was the top paid biggest contract ever in the NFL in April. Lamar Jackson was in May, and now Herbert has taken the biggest piece of the pie in July. So he is seriously, the quarterback market is the exact opposite of the running back one, I think.
Scalding hot, yeah. And Joe Burrow, I'm sure that he's going to be getting paid here pretty soon too. He's going to be due. What do you guys think about players like really pushing to sign extensions? 2 years or so out from their contract being up. Like, think that that's bad faith or
It definitely gives them more security, and it gives the team a sense of security when they have a good quarterback and they know that they
yeah,
can hold on to them. Like with Herbert, they feel really confident. Well, and with Jalen and Lamar too, of course.
yeah.
And so I was a little bit more surprised when Russell Wilson got such an extended contract because of his age, but it seems to be like this sort of how it's working out right now. And so again, I think I would feel more confident if I knew that I had like a guaranteed certain number of years. I mean, nothing is ever fully guaranteed in the NFL, but like there's a sense of security that comes with that, I think.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. And who would have thunk? I mean, when did Patrick Mahomes sign his 10-year, 400 some million
Yes.
contract, what, a few years ago? And that sounded just absolutely ridiculous. Now it's looking super team friendly. He's like, what do you have anybody got a list available, like top paid quarterbacks right now per year average? It's
Um
gotta be toward, still top 10, but I imagine it's probably near the bottom of the list at this point.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I believe Herbert's at the top.
Yes.
yeah, Herbert's at the top, Jalen third, Lamar second. I mean, these
I
guys,
believe it's Herbert, Jackson, and then Jalen.
yeah,
Yeah, Herbert Jackson and Jalen, then Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson or the massage monster. And then Patrick Mahomes is coming in at number 7. Then we have Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, and Dak Prescott as our top 10.
that's crazy.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is his contract ends in 2029. Like that is ridiculous for a player who's not young. I'm not quite sure that I understand that, obviously, as a diehard Seahawks fan. Russell Wilson for life, but it's a really interesting trend we're seeing. But yeah, Mahomes is certainly not on the top anymore.
Chiefs are looking like geniuses right now.
Yeah, 2032.
Yeah,
So Ryan, we were talking a couple weeks ago about Tarasenko and potential landing spots. Being an old vet, he's been there, done that. I don't think Ottawa was on our list of teams.
no, they weren't. That came out of left field, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to go back to the Rangers. Clearly, he was thinking something else. He was rumored to go to Carolina before he dropped his agent.
Yeah.
And signing a 1-year deal worth $5 million with Ottawa, maybe trying to prove to teams around the league saying, "Hey, I'm still that guy." It's not more of a "I'm getting older, I want another ring." Because for me, Ottawa isn't on my radar for playoffs right now. Maybe as we get into the season, possibly. I know they have a young core over there. Ottawa setting up for something decent this year. Hopefully, in the next couple of years. Right now, that I didn't see Tarasenko signing with someone who isn't looked at as a serious contender right now.
Well, I mean, maybe like you said, it's kind of one of those things where you can fly under the radar, kind of get right. Gets lays back underneath them. There's no pressure in Ottawa. I mean, know that. So put some points on the board and maybe try for a last kind of hurrah with a good team and maybe a little more lucrative contract. But I don't know. I just I don't,
Yeah, but
I don't think I can see.
Yeah, I understand that, Caleb. But here's my question to you: even if he does put up a virtuoso of a Tarasenko season, what kind of contract will somebody give him when he'll be 32, going on 33 next season?
I mean, you see a lot of guys play in their mid to late 30s anymore. I mean, I could see a 2 or 3 year deal. That's still maybe only worth maybe 6 or 7 million a year, but a little more security. And just somewhere that I think that needs that final veteran piece. It is priceless to have a locker room full of guys that know exactly what it takes to win a chip. And he's definitely one of those guys. I mean, breaking their winless streak in St. Louis, I mean, that was huge. I mean, that's one of the bigger championships since the Cubs won theirs. I mean, talk about a team that had never won it before. So uh, I don't know. Maybe it is kind of his final ride, but I strongly doubt that. Really do. But
Well,
Yeah,
while we're
I'm
talking,
not saying he'll retire.
go ahead, Ryan.
I'm just saying I'm not saying he's going to retire after this deal. I'm just saying even if he
God,
does put up a really really good season, what kind of a deal will a 32-year-old get heading into next season as a free agent?
probably just a couple year extension as to what this thing is essentially. I couldn't see much more. Also, if he, as long as he can prove that his legs aren't just dead and that it looks a lot better than it did last year, there's no reason he shouldn't get some look somewhere. So
Yeah.
see what kind of year.
Well, if we're talking about other things in baseball that don't make a lick of sense, we can talk about last night and the shenanigans that went down with the Cardinals and their unusually hot-headed moments.
Yeah. So Miles Michaelis, Cardinals pitcher, and their manager, Ali Marmol, both suspended. Says Michaelis was suspended for 5, but that's just one game for a starting pitcher. Um, so I don't know if either of you had seen what happened last night. Full disclosure, I am a Cubs fan.
Yeah, we know.
But last night was ridiculous. And the only people that didn't think it was ridiculous was Chip Carey, Cardinal fans, and apparently AJ Pierzynski, as you can see on Twitter, if you want to go look, my exchange with him last night. Um, so just a little rundown. First inning of the game, Ian Happ is up to bat. Wilson Contreras, as you know, now the Cardinals catcher, was the Cubs catcher. Pretty much spent his entire adult life within the Cubs system, but spent the past 6 years up in the majors with them. He catches Ian Happ's bat on a backswing. Totally freak thing, just happens sometimes. It just happened today as I was just watching the Pittsburgh Pirates and Philadelphia Phillies game. Brandon Marsh just hit the Cervelli, I think, is the Pirates catcher with the bat on a backswing. It happens. Total accident, but it did cut up Contreras. He's bleeding all over the place. Training staff comes out and they end up escorting him out. But before he gets escorted out, Ian Happ and him like exchange hugs, basically like, "Hey, it's cool. Like, there's an accident, no big deal." These guys have been friends, like I said, for 6-7 years now. And Miles Michaelis decided to take it upon himself and not one time just throw at Happ, but then the second time after he missed aiming at the head the first time, buzzing the tower, hits him squarely on the hip, second pitch in a row. And obviously that's extremely intentional. You get maybe one freebie on that kind of scenario. You can't go at somebody twice. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious. Gets ejected. Ali Marmol comes out, tries to argue about it. I don't know how you even argue with it. I guess he's just showing that he's standing up for his guy. But he ends up getting thrown out. shortly after Michaelis gets thrown out. And, all of a sudden you got game one of a 4-game series. It turns into a bullpen game for the Cardinals in the first inning. And, Cubs put a rout on and, end up winning 10-3. Now today, Michaelis and Marmol both suspended. AJ Pierzynski, you were wrong. I was right. That was Bush League. No room for that in the game. It's one thing to stick up for your player, but when it's obvious that these two guys are friends, it was acknowledged it was an accident. There was no intent, no malintent there. And you're just going to go out of your way to, I don't know what he thought. Maybe he just didn't feel like it was hot outside yesterday. Maybe he just felt like he didn't want to pitch. I don't know. But regardless,
He does sweat a lot.
I've noticed. But yeah, that was pretty much just a Cubs card. But hey, just good old fashioned rivalry. That's all it is. Little hot. It's dog days of summer right now. Cardinals aren't where they want to be. Cubs are getting to where they want to be. They're now 500 for the first time since May 19th. 51-51. Looks like they, at the very least, won't be sellers at the trade deadline. So I know you're ecstatic, Ryan.
I'm always down
I
for a
am.
little bit of healthy skirmish. As a
Keep the blood going, especially in baseball.
Oh, absolutely. And when a
Yeah,
little,
we need rivalries in baseball.
when a little blood comes out, it sort of wakes up people. I'm a '90s hockey fan, and whenever those blows really landed at two, like it sort of really gets the enthusiasm going. And so, like, I'm always a fan of any kind of skirmishes that come up. So, I mean, have at it, Cardinals. I'm here for it.
All right, we'll just keep winning. But yeah, what? You guys are
Listen,
and you guys are already selling.
Hey,
Am I trading?
we're selling a bunch of what we're gonna do.
Rumors of Dodgers and Cardinals talking about trading Arenado.
No, that's made up. That's more made up than
That's
black
not
magic. Come on.
Pretty sure it was John Heyman reporting on that one. That's too
Yeah,
real. So
plenty made up.
sorry to drop that on you today. I know you didn't need to hear that.
It was a quote taken out of context, and he just ran with it. Cardinals already said they're not trading Nato or Goldie. Don't even start.
All right, guys. Let's keep a rivalry down.
I feel Marmol argued the ejection of Michaelis because there was no warning given after the first pitch. Well, there should have been, maybe. I mean, I didn't watch the game last night, but I did see the highlights. And I think that's what it was. There was no warning given. They just ejected him after he plunked him.
I kind of get it to a point. That was Chip Carey's argument too. There probably should have been a warning after the first pitch that buzzed the tower that was up high and in on Hap. But I don't know. Like I said, you get that one. If you were trying to hit him or not, I don't know. That was your one though. But then immediately right after you come in and hit him in the thigh, like squared on. Like, what are they supposed to do? You know what I mean? And say that, because how it works now is if they warn both clubs. So say the Cubs end up hitting a bat later on. Now all of a sudden they get the automatic ejection, and Michaelis doesn't get anything for his deal, which would be bullshit. So I like what they did. If it was reversed, because AJ decided he wanted to put this question on me. If it was roles reversed, Contreras is a Cub, the opposite happens, would I want my pitcher to do that? No, I wouldn't. I think that'd be incredibly stupid and selfish. Like I said, like you're trying to get back in the playoff hunt. This is kind of your last chance to do it right before the trade deadline. No chance am I wanting my guy to do that. That's just stupid. Because now you had to burn 5 pitchers yesterday that had to pitch long innings because your guy thought he was going to be a hero, and he looked right at Happen Contreras tugging. Like there's nothing to protect there. Like I
Mhm.
understand like, the unwritten rules of baseball, protecting your guys. I get it. I'm all for that stuff too. But that was just not that. That was stupid. It's not like I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, you know
Just a
who gets
Hey,
reminders?
maybe
Children do, because they're the only people who need a reminder that you can't whack people on the thigh. Like, do I have to remind you to be a civilized human being with some modicum of like respect and poise? I don't think so. Like, oh, I didn't tell you that it was wrong to assault that person, so you get a freebie on the first one. Like, we're not gonna book you in jail because you punched a guy at the bar. You know, you don't need somebody to tell you that
no,
was
and
a stupid move.
there's no rule that states that there has to be a warning issued either. And in that situation, if it was just like a one
no.
time, would have been like, hey, yeah, like they probably if he would have just thrown once and got ejected, I'd have been like, okay, that was a quick
Yeah,
hook. It shouldn't have been that way. But you did it twice consecutively, and you won't hide it. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I mean, it's rivalry baseball. Maybe it would showcase that the Cardinals have a garbage bullpen.
Mhm.
Maybe it was Mosaic's way of saying, "Hey, wow, like, those guys, so you can get out of there and we can show our bullpen off and how bad it is." Michaelis getting ejected in the Cubs game yesterday probably was a good way to showcase Cardinals pitching or lack thereof, uh, because this season, as of right now, they are ranked 25th in the league in runs allowed per game at 5.02. They have the 24th worst ERA with a 4.63. They give up 40.1% of hit balls. That's 23rd in the league. And they're 26th in strikeout percentage at 20.5%. Really terrible. And I believe, if I remember correctly, they lead the league in blown saves and leads given up. So the bullpen is it's just as bad as the starting pitchers. I mean, it's just as a Cardinals fan, it is embarrassing to watch such terrible pitching just ruin a lineup like the Cardinals have. You have Nato, you have Goldie, you have Gorman, among other guys who just can tear the cover off the ball. Is being wasted when they score 6 or 7 runs and they lose 10-6.
Hmm.
yeah.
I know you're a Cubs fan, Caleb, so you're not really going to care about this, but
No, I mean, you guys had
yeah,
high expectations going into the season. So, I mean, this has got to be absolutely brutal to watch. And if your pitching was just middle of the pack, I mean, you guys are likely leading the NL Central right now. And that's what's got to be so
I
frustrating.
saw that is the most frustrating part actually. I saw a little blurb yesterday on Twitter that said if the Cardinals didn't lead the league in blown saves and leads given up, I believe they're around like 25 or 26 combined, they would be leading the division right now. They would have 56 wins.
Checks out. It reminds me a lot
That's
of the
embarrassing.
2019. They blew so many damn saves. It was ridiculous. It was like if a team gets to the eighth inning and they're within 3 runs, that's a loss. And it was the most infuriating season I'd ever watched in my life. It was crazy. And that's what this reminds me a lot of. But so I do feel your pain. Doesn't make me sad
And
for you, but
it's it's even more frustrating when you have Cardinals fans to social media to blame Ollie Marmol for the struggles when it's been the same problem for the last 7 years. Mike Schilt dealt with it. Even in the dog days of Matheny's era, he dealt with it.
yeah,
It starts in the front office. It starts up top. It
yeah.
makes its way down. Ollie's only doing what he's got to work with. He's only given what he's got to work with. So I mean, just it's frustrating to watch. because Mozeliak won't do a single thing to help pitching staff. Spending money, he won't make trades for decent players. It's always band-aids and aging players who nobody wants.
Yep. Yeah, your guys
My dad agrees.
you guys draft position players well. I mean, that's obvious. But your lack of pitching in your farm system has absolutely killed you guys for probably the better part of the past 10 years. So
Yeah, it's frustrating because we keep calling these guys up. They don't do anything. And then they back. And they keep trotting them out. Guys like Jordan Hicks throws 104. Can't strike save his life. And apparently can't throw out of space either. So,
well,
I mean, we lost a game to Miami this year because of him.
yeah.
So,
Well, you guys got
that's my rant on the Cardinals.
You guys got
Do
anybody?
we have anybody on the trade block?
It's trade season, buddy. A lot of trades happening.
It is trade season.
Cardinals want to get involved.
From what I heard, they have 3 guys they're trying to make extensions with. Flaherty, Hicks, and I want to say Helsley. They're trying to extend.
Really?
Yeah, and they're also saying if Flaherty doesn't get a deal done, they're likely to trade him probably on the day of the deadline, which is a John Mozeliak special. I believe they just put Contreras on the trade block too, and he's in 5 months into his 5-year deal. So
it's a bad look.
Just another cherry on the season.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, who's been really active is the White Sox. They've already dealt 5 of their pitchers since their loss on Wednesday against the Cubs. So they've dealt Kevin Graveman, Lance Lynn, starting pitcher, Lucas Giolito, starting pitcher, their ace for the past few years, Joe Kelly, and Reynaldo Lopez. So pretty much their top 5 pitchers gone. So they're officially punting on this season and honestly this core of guys. This was a team that was supposed to win multiple World Series and was supposed to put the Cubs to shame because the Cubs could only win one World Series. And well, the Cubs went to as many NLCSs as the White Sox have playoff wins the past 4 years. Not playoff series wins, just games won in the playoffs. So shove that up your tailpipe, White Sox fans. But anyway, Mets, they're punting their season. What's up?
Okay, we know Caleb is
it's
a Bears fan.
It's just confusing to me why the White Sox would give up on the season right now. They're only 13 games back of the division.
They're in a horrible division, but
might not catch Minnesota, but they could. They're in a horrible division. I mean, we're in a horrible division too, Caleb, with Cubs and Cardinals. The Central Division all the way around for baseball is just garbage.
No, it's definitely,
and it's been that way for the last 7 years.
But the NL Central is still light years better than the AL Central this year. I mean, our worst team has 45 wins.
Yeah.
Their worst team has what, 26? We got 3 teams above 500 now.
I'd have to look at the standing again, but it's shocking to me that they do that. They could still possibly get a wild card spot, even being 13 games out of the division. You could possibly still get a wild card spot.
They got to win the division because you got to think the AL East. Every single team is at least, I think, 5 games over 500. Every team.
Well, there's 3 wild card spots, right?
Yeah, but then you go to the West, and you got the
how many wild card spots are there?
Seattle Mariners. Yeah, there's 3 wild card spots. The Mariners are flirting around 500. They're like 8 games ahead. Yep. The White Sox are further out of a wild card spot than they are the division. And you're not catching the Astros. You're not catching the Angels. You're not catching the Red Sox or Toronto. You're just not. Like, they are not built for it. The team is broken. it's time to retool and rebuild. And they got Houston's number 5 prospect for Kendall Graveman. I mean, they're getting a decent return on these guys. But yeah, well, we'll see if it continues to heat up what some of these teams do, because there's a lot of teams that are like flirting.
Yeah, I agree. Baltimore and Texas are definitely a huge surprise for me this year. At least out of the American League, I did not see Baltimore leading the division.
Baltimore in that division? Are you serious? That's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
what in the
it's
world?
crazy.
They had the best record in baseball there for a little bit. I don't know if they still do, but like a week ago. I mean, they're insane.
Oh yeah, I think they might go to Atlanta now, maybe. I mean, Atlanta's walking away with the East.
The Rangers, they've made all the right moves. I thought they'd be okay. I didn't think they'd be this good though.
I thought they'd be for a wild card spot, similar to what Miami's doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I can't believe Chicago just kind of gave up. They just said nuts on the last couple seasons and be gone. They paired Giolito with Otani. They just helped LA. The Angels just got significantly better in the top 2 spots in their rotation.
Well, and that's the big thing coming out of the trade deadline so far is the Angels are going to keep Otani, and they're going to try and go for it this year. And I think that is probably the best move they can get. I mean, you're not going to get what you want for Otani for only a couple months. Teams knowing they're going to have to pay him $600 million next year. So this is probably the best way to go. At least you can say you tried to win, and maybe you do win a little something this next postseason, and maybe he wants to stick around. He picked him the first time. There's no saying why he wouldn't pick him the second time. So, all right, Ryan. So we got a little bit of good news for you in regards to the Cardinals. Scott Rowland finally inducted. Consummate pro. Hated him as a Cub fan, but I think he's very well deserving. What do you think, man? That's probably a pretty cool moment to see, huh?
Yeah. I grew up watching Scott Rowland. Probably the greatest third baseman in Cardinals history. He actually got voted in with a 76% vote, and he's only one of 18 third basemen inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is the fewest of any position group that's non-DH. Because I'm pretty sure they just started.
That seems crazy to me.
Yeah,
that's like third base is really important.
Yeah, you think. He was also one of 2 players inducted into this year's Hall of Fame class. Fred McGriff finally got in on a contemporary vote. So congratulations to both of them. And speaking of future Hall of Famers, Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera goes to play the Marlins for the final time in his career. His wonderful career comes to an end this season, and he gets to go back where it all started.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Definitely hope to be able to catch some of those games this weekend. Probably a pretty emotional weekend for him, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing him in Cooperstown in a couple years, huh?
5 years, I would not doubt he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it.
Well, if we're going to talk about Hall of Fame and problematic players, we have the perfect person to discuss, and that would be Pete Rose. Do not miss my article on him on the Football.com. It's very, very good, like all of my pieces. And Caleb has a little bit more to talk about our man Rose.
Yeah, everyone. So actually, the next couple of weeks, we're going to give away Pete Rose signed baseball. It's going to be through our parent website, theforkball.com. Next week, we'll have a promo code loaded for you guys. So stay tuned for that and enter, and maybe you're the lucky winner. Speaking of Pete Rose, Hall of Fame, we're not going to see him probably ever, are we?
Doesn't look like that.
Certainly not next year.
Maybe
Pretty sure he's banned permanently, but
I don't.
no.
Probably take an act of Congress, I think, at this point. But what's next year's ballot looking like though? And I mean, it's a lot of childhood type heroes that we have, maybe villains as well.
Yeah. So we have a couple of guys returning for the ballot next year. We have Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran, A-Rod, Manny Ramirez, Omar Vizquel, Andy Pettit, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, Mark Burley, Francisco Rodriguez, and Torrey Hunter all make their returns to the Hall of Fame ballot next year. Adrian Beltre, he's going to be making his debut on the ballot, along with Joey Bats, Jose Batista there, Bartolo Colon, Adrian Gonzalez, Matt Holliday, Jim Johnson, Victor Martinez, Joe Mauer, Jose Reyes, Brandon Phillips, James Shields, Charlie, David Wright, and Brad Ziegler.
Man,
So a lot of new faces coming to the ballot, a lot of old faces, and a lot of people we grew up watching. Childhood heroes and faves coming up on the ballot and returning.
some absolute studs, man. That whole list you could argue for. I mean, the baseball writers will never go for probably 80% of it because they're too high on themselves to vote. But that's a crazy list. That's really cool stuff. Kind of sad. Means we're getting old too, though.
Yeah.
I don't need any reminders about that.
I don't know. I don't know.
So good luck to everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to them on the ballot.
Moment I know Ryan is eating his feelings with ice cream probably over having all of these players in the Hall of Fame.
No longer on the field.
Yeah.
No longer on the field. Nope.
All right. So for our weekly true crime segment, which does appear to be a weekly one, and I'm uniquely qualified for this because the lighting makes me to look white as a ghost. So this is or the Crayola box, one or the other. So this week is kind of a bittersweet moment and really kind of just bitter and really kind of shocking. If you've been following, all of America knows about Aaron Hernandez and sort of his awful
What a guy.
downturn in life. Yeah, ending with jail and then taking his own life and just sort of that spiral and that'll live in America's minds forever. But while you were probably watching maybe the documentary or reading DJ, where he now goes by Jonathan Hernandez's book, he always was sort of the older brother who was trying to help guide Aaron and sort of the level-headed, put-together guy. And so to kind of see him going off the tracks right now is surprising, alarming, a lot of different things. So he has been in the news this week because he was arrested and charged with a breach of peace and threatening. He has a bail of $250,000. And the bond hearing is next week. If you've seen his mugshot, it's kind of eerie because he is cheesing like he won something. He is smiling. We've all seen the mugshots of people who are smiling and they're a little off, but he looks like he's in there for winning the lottery. It's a weird smile. He's only 37 years old, so it's tough to see. So he was actually on July 7th of this year, he missed a court date. And the judge ordered for him to be rearrested. If you miss a court date, typically a warrant goes out for your arrest. Interestingly, in the warrant, his ex-girlfriend, that's how she's choosing to describe herself, was quoted as saying that he's sad, that he has a bullet for everyone. that he loves me, but even you're not safe. And she does not feel personally threatened, but is concerned by his comments meeting and his overall mental health. I thought it was interesting that she's in the warrant. I don't know quite how that works because I think typically it's he missed a court date, so I'm not sure why there's like an interview in this warrant. So I do have kind of a question about that. So when he told his ex-girlfriend that he borrowed her car and said he was going to court, but instead he went to, as she I believe she quoted, mapping out Brown University and Yukon. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that was the wording. He went into a number of classrooms and buildings at Brown University. And he described it as a part of a planning process. So she was aware, but he was mapping out the campuses potentially to harm people during his missed court date. Someone else in his life claimed that he texted, "We're taking lives if shit isn't paid up. It's been years in planning, just taking notes, names, and locations," which is pretty dire. And several people have come forward this month, I believe, to the police to say that he's been acting erratically and that they're concerned about his mental health. I believe they're mostly loved ones that are coming from like a place of trying to avoid anything and hoping that he gets the care that he needs. So on July 19th, the police saw that he was posting threatening messages on social media. No elaboration on what that means, but he said they went to the residence since they had a warrant for his arrest. They went to the residence that Hernandez was at, and the Bristol Police Department said he showed signs of being gravely disabled and a danger to society. And when police attempted to arrest Dennis, he allegedly told them that he was armed and if they approached him, he would kill them all. So they tasered him down, took him to the hospital, and then he was booked. He had a 5-year football career at UConn. He coached at a few high schools and college, most notably Iowa and Brown for different offensive positions. So he's been kind of, towing the line. He owned a business, possibly still does. So this is like this sort of erratic behavior and inability to function is new. He's had 3 criminal charges this year. I believe they're his only ones, and if not, they're his only in recent times. He had criminal charges in March because he caused a police car chase when he wouldn't pull over. Another incident, the one that he was going to court for on July 7th, or was supposed to go to court for, he threw a bag with a brick and a note on the ESPN property in Connecticut. The note said, what?
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, the note said, "To all media outlets, it's about time you all realize," and I emphasize that because he spelled it like real and then eyes, like in your head. So I don't know if he is trying to say something there or if he just doesn't know how to spell realize. The office, the effect media has on all family members. Since you're a worldwide leader, maybe you could lead how media and messages are delivered brick by brick. Clean it up. Yours truly, Dennis J. Hernandez. So a little bit ominous there, but he does have a point that we are pretty shameless in how we report on people, and I imagine being a loved one of Aaron's, it would have been tough to kind of see how he was portrayed and all of those things. So totally wrong way to communicate it, but I sort of can see where he could be frustrated. So he's a father of 2. He appears to be married, which is a little confusing because it seems like he also has a now ex-girlfriend, but that's his business, don't know. So he coached as recently as 2018. He wrote his book in 2018, and he appears to have a company now. So he has some things going for him in life. It doesn't seem like there's an obvious downward trajectory or anything like that. Or like a clear reason why this is happening. So yeah, my thoughts on this, the recent erratic behavior and the arrest history speaks to sudden decline. He does mention prior planning for him wanting to shoot people at these schools, but we don't have any like clear evidence of that. And if he was planning it before, he's now like escalating by putting it into action by like actually visiting the institutions and things like that. So we're seeing sort of a spiral. We don't know if there's some like proximal event or like life event that is a catalyst for this decline in mental health. We don't know if there's an underlying mental disease that we're not aware of. If I had to pick, I would probably say that he also has CTE. He had a similar level of contact sport participation as his brother, which alone could lead to CTE by itself. But then his brother had a really bad case at a very young age. And typically predisposition to, we're starting to find evidence that predisposition for dementia, and CTE is a type of dementia, has a genetic component. So he might also be more predisposed to developing dementia. Him and Aaron likely have a similar genetic makeup. And we do see that younger former players who are dead and are found to have CTE often have this sudden, like out of character mood change, violence, criminal behavior decline relatively quickly, leading up to what can be a homicide or taking their own life. That's kind of a theme. And so it's really interesting. We see that older players who have the condition typically still younger than the average population to develop dementia, but older than say 40, they tend to have these like long harrowing declines of like 20 years, but they are not dangerous. But then we're seeing that these younger players who experience the signs quite young, 20s, 30s, 40s, often end up taking the lives of others or themselves. We're not sure, there's just not enough research right now to know why why age seems to be having this impact or what that could mean and how people display it differently. There's a lot of questions still, but I'm just seeing this sort of downward trajectory and like remembering the sort of gene pool that he likely is dealing with. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, I hope that they can intervene and try to offer him help. There is help out there for people who are suffering from CTE. There are ways for dementia, because we can't diagnose it prior to death. There are ways to make the symptoms more livable, raise quality of life, and make someone not a danger to be around, which Jonathan threatening even his ex-girlfriend is really alarming. So I hope that he gets the help that he needs. I hope that obviously he doesn't succeed in any of these ventures. I hope he's not a threat to anyone else or himself. And this is just really hard to see, and I can only imagine how loved ones in their family are handling this, because yet another family member is really struggling. And so hopefully we can handle this situation in the media better than we did his brother. So that is our solemn true crime segment about one of our football players. He was really great in his own way, of course. His tie to Aaron makes him a household name, but he was also a great player at UConn. So it's really sad to see the football community taking another L with a former player on the fritz. So yeah, best to him and best to his family. And then what do y'all think?
It could be CT related, could be dementia, could just
Well, CT is a type of dementia.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
But you're saying that Aaron had it, could be a genetic deal. I don't know. There's a lot of troubled people out there. It's going to garner a lot more attention than the average person, given who his brother is. Yeah,
That might not be a bad thing in this instance, though, because they might be able to catch him before he does something problematic because of that extra attention.
I'm sure that they probably will. I completely forgot about that brick incident at ESPN. So that's really interesting. I thought that he had already been in jail for that, or was still in jail.
No, he was just he wasn't detained afterwards for jail. He had another court date set up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. As a sports injury epidemiologist, I will absolutely stick my neck out and say that people get irritated by saying, oh, it's always the CTE defense. These players could just be problematic people, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that, but some of the key symptoms, and so many players have it with the research that we find post-humorous, a lot of the research shows that their behavior becomes more erratic, mood swings, predisposition to violence that never used to exist. It's sort of this sudden swing downwards, and so it can make a good person do really bad things. Their brains are literally turning into chunks of protein. And so to imply that they have the same mental capabilities of another adult is unfair. Obviously, we can't find that right now prior to death. But to say that it wouldn't have a big impact or it's a sign of a moral failure, I don't think is fair. We wouldn't do that to an older person with dementia who maybe committed a crime, or typically they're too old to. But if they did, we would have a lot of leniency and a lot of understanding for an older person who had dementia. So I am not really a big fan of they're just bad people who do bad things, or you can't keep blaming it on a condition. I think the idea is not to blame,
Right.
but it is important to have awareness, because it will absolutely make a person do something out of character that is not a personal flaw. It is literally their brain turning into chunks of protein. So I will stand and say, yeah, I do think that this condition can make people do bad things that they would not normally do without any hesitation.
I mean, you see a lot of former NFL players commit suicide. So
yeah, and again, it's really common with younger generation players, or younger 20s, 30s, 40s. We're seeing it right and left. We're even seeing homicides. So I think it's just really important that we put the awareness on this topic that needs to be there. And my solution has always been to be aware of the signs. We will include a link to some support websites in the description. Be aware of the signs, get the help that you need, support for the family members, because it can be really hard. And so that awareness is critical, but we have to be honest, we have to be open about what is happening if we're going to do that. And we can't sit and point fingers at individual people for doing problematic behaviors or trying to sweep it under the rug because it's not a good look. Okay, we have to. So I could be on my soapbox forever, but I certainly don't think Jonathan is a bad person, or is like I believe that if he was in his right mind, he would never think to even allege to hurt people. It doesn't seem like it's coming from a healthy place. And so I hope that he can get what he needs, and I still think that he's probably the great older brother and good person that we've seen in different media forms. So yeah, well, I'm glad we can use this podcast to talk about some of the more grim topics and be real about the kind of darker side of sports, and that's something I'm really good at. So lots more of true crime and darkness in the future. So that is all that we have today.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification button so you never miss the tailgate update.
If there's anything you want to see next week, please drop it in the comments.
Tune in next week to get your tailgate updated.
Hey Dad, I want you to repeat what you just told me about the Cardinal bullpen being bullshit. What did you say? You said it's bullshit.
It is bullshit. They need to get some guys in there that know how to throw at least 4 innings.
Take Jesus. Why did Wolfie's a bit more of an enthusiastic participant. Lucy, are you our biggest tailgate update fan? Are you our mascot?
It's not friggin' 20.
I wouldn't have. Thanks, Dad.